So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Shadowhunter PvE build in Lost Ark. So in this guide I will show you what abilities and awakening skill you want to get, then I will explain what are the best engravings and cards to use for endgame content. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay and even which stats you need to allocate for PvE, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how low or high level or gear score your character is, you can easily use this build and follow the step-by-step guide. So if all this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So this class has small AoE skills, but she compensates for that with low cooldowns and high mobility. She is one of the few transformation classes in Lost Ark, with her demonic identity. That means that when this bar is at full, you can activate the demonic mode and become a different creature with different abilities. This adds more mobility and a lot more damage. Because our build will be using the demonic impulse engraving, our main objective will be to focus on filling the shadow burst meter as fast as possible. Then we will activate it and deal massive amounts of damage. With the natural attack and movement speed buff from the demon mode and the already low cooldowns from the demon mode skills, you're going to be jumping around the battlefield doing huge DPS. So if you're looking for the best raiding, chaos dungeon or any other PvE content build, then this is the one for you. Okay, so now let's move over to the build itself, and these are the skills you want to have. And at the first look, you may be wondering why only 3 abilities have this rune selected. Well, this build is split into 2 parts. The first part will be our human form skills, and then in the second part I will show you our demon form skills and much more. So then for the first ability we have the demonic slash, and we use just 4 levels to unlock the excellent mobility. And then for your rune you don't want to select anything. Then for the second ability we have the demon's grip, and we use 4 more levels to select the swift fingers. And then for your rune you want to get the wealth. Then for the next one we have the rising claw ability, and we spend just 4 levels to get the naively honest. And then lastly for your rune you don't want to select anything. Then for the fourth ability we have the demon vision, and we use 10 levels to unlock the concentrated release, encroaching power and instant discharge. And then lastly for your rune you want to get the wealth. Then for the next one we have the howl skill, and we use once again 10 levels to select the swift fingers, encroaching power and scream of fury. And then for your rune you want to get the wealth. So then for one of the last abilities we have the thrust impact, and we use 10 more levels to unlock the swift thrust, deep thrust and encroaching power. And then lastly for your rune you don't want to select anything. Then for the 7th ability we have the demonic clone, and we use 10 levels to get the vital point strike, Fist of Destruction and enhanced release encroachment. And then for your rune you don't want to select anything. And then for the last and final ability we have the decimate, and we use our last 10 levels to unlock the swift fingers, weak point detection and cruel hand. And then lastly for your rune you don't want to select anything. So then moving over to the second part, which is our demon form, and these are the skills you want to have. So for the first skill we have the ruining rush, and we want to select the quick recharge rune. Then for the second skill we have the dead claw, and this time we select the rage rune. Then for the next one we have the gore bleeding skill, and for our rune we select the gale wind. Then for the next skill we have the destruction, and this time we don't want to select anything. Then for the 5th skill we have the leaping blow, and we select the gale wind rune. And then for the last skill we have the blood massacre, and we use our last rune slot to get the gale wind. Then as well after level 50 for your awakening skill you want to get the gates of eruption. But if you haven't reached level 50 yet, then here's a specific guide on which abilities you should upgrade first while leveling with the Shadowhunter. And then on top of all this, focus on equipping as high item level gear as you can. And then at the end game you should have 350 crit and 1250 specialization. But again, if you haven't reached this point yet, then try to have around 25% stats into crit and 75% stats into specialization. Okay, so then the way I would recommend to upgrade this build is at level 50 you will get around 250 points. So this is how your build should look like. But then by doing more and more endgame content you will get more points. And at the absolute endgame, this is how your build should look like with all the 410 skill points. So at the start you use the 252 point build, and then by leveling up and completing quests you will get more points. So just keep on improving your skills and getting higher tier runes as well. So then let's now move over to the engravings, and you want to get the demonic impulse. This engraving will remove your composure debuff, which puts the shadow burst meter on 30-second cooldown. So then the second engraving is called the adrenaline, and this provides a additional source of crit and attack power. And the higher tier you will be, the easier it will be to maintain this buff. So then the next one is called the Hitmaster, and this is a great choice as almost all demon form skills do not have a head attack or back attack modifier. Then for the fourth engraving you want to get the Keen Blunt Weapon. Thankfully you receive a crit rate boost once in the demon form, so this engraving will be very useful to improve your overall damage when in the demon form. Then the next one is called the Grudge, and this is more advanced engraving that is recommended for tier 3 content. This Grudge is the most efficient engraving against mobs, and you will get your damage increased, but in return you will take 20% more damage. So when you get to the very endgame content, which is called the tier 3, then get this engraving, and before using it, get it to at least level 2 because a level 1 engraving is not that efficient. And then for the last and final engraving we have the Cursed Doll, and this is a significant attack power increase at the cost of 25% healing penalty. This penalty can be offset by paying more attention on dodging red AoE circles and by using healing potions more often. So then in a quick summary, I would recommend to get the top 3 engravings first and then the bottom 3. And then last but not the least, let's move over to your cards, and you want to get the Shandy, Azena and Ainana, Nineveh, Vey, Baldur and Tyrane. In general, these cards are an endgame system for maximizing your character, so you don't have to get them right away, but these specific cards will increase your damage in PvE even more. I did bunch of testing for this build and this was the best and most optimized card set. Okay, so then moving over to the gameplay, and if you have ever played this class while leveling, you will be very familiar with the skills, so I will just try to give you a short description. So the Demon Slash is your simple gap closer skill, which you want to use mostly at the beginning of the fight. Then the Demon Vision and Howl are your highest shadow burst meter generators. Howl also debuffs the target for 12% increased damage for a short duration. Then the next 4 abilities called the Thrust, Impact, Demonic Clone, Demon's Grip and Decimate are just simple damage spells that fill up your shadow burst meter very fast. Then for one of the last abilities we have the Rising Claw, and this ability will make your character dash forwards, deal damage and then push the enemy in the air. And as well, this skill is used to counter enemy attack. Then moving over to the demon form, and basically all skills essentially become damage dealers, with Blood Massacre ability being your biggest skill. Most demon form skills cause high stagger and can be spammed, so while this mode is active, go wild. And then on top of all this, Ruining Rush and Leaping Blow can be used as 2 more gap closer skills. And then lastly, our Awakening skill is called the Gates of Eruption, and when you activate it, it will unleash a demon power that will scatter across the floor, inflicting big damage and the bleeding debuff to the enemy. Usually I use this skill just for more damage while farming massive amounts of mob groups, and then at the same time you gain push immunity and debuff immunity as well. Okay, so then let's take a closer look at your best skill rotation. This assassin class has only one rotation, as all of his skills can be used in no particular order and are mainly meant for building up the shadow burst meter. So the highest damage rotation is to first of all use the Demon Slash to close the gap and then use the Rising Claw, then the Demonic Clone, then the Thrust Impact, and then the Demon's Grip, then the Demon's Vision, and then lastly finish it off with the Decimate or Howl ability. Then at this point, then the second part comes in play. So you activate your demonic form, and once you are a demon, you just spam every skill on the cooldown. The main objective of this build is to reach full shadow burst meter as quickly as possible. Therefore, it is important that you use your lowest cooldowns first, before the highest. This way your low cooldown skills come up quicker, allowing you to cast them a second time. So now in my last and final conclusions for this build. The Shadowhunter gameplay focuses on their demon mode skill, The normal human form abilities are mainly used to fill out your shadow burst meter so you can demonize faster. Then don't forget that in addition to the free 20% damage, movement and attack speed that you get in the demon mode, the demonic impulse engraving also gives you a free crit rate, so this enables us to do a lot of damage over time. And then lastly, make sure you use your shortest cooldowns first to maximize the shadow burst meter gain, and that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Lost Ark PvE classes that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. If you're interested in the top 3 best PvE builds or in the top 3 best PvP builds, then check the links in the description or just scroll through my channel. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I'll catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.